Shvua Tov. Good to walk, everybody. We're starting a new week now. Let us talk about the Parshas Vayeira, and then we'll go into the interesting parts of Vayeira, the Akedo at the end, and the encounter with Sarah and Hashem. She said, "I didn't laugh," and he said, "You did." How could Sarah deny what Hashem said? Before we start, I want to announce to everybody again. If anybody listening to me worldwide has a parnasa problem, who needs extra income, please call me and I'll tell you what to do. It's a very successful program all over the world. I'm involved. So please, if you're interested, call me on my cell, 24/6. The number is 845-826-4789. You'll see, I'll direct you to what you have to do to increase your potential for earning a living. Number two, if you want to hear my shiurim on the telephone 24 hours a day, any day of the week, go to Kol Halosham on the telephone. It's a New York number, but it's directly to Israel, B'nai Barak, to the central headquarters of Kol Halosham, 1-718-395-2440. 1-718-395-2440. Now, before we start, we want to talk about the $100,000 raffle that's going on with for Torah Anytime. Enter for a chance to win $100,000. Last year, Torah Anytime was involved, and my neighbor, a young lady, won $100,000. Valid until January 18th. You buy one ticket for $100 and two tickets for $180, 3 tickets for $250, and 7 tickets not for $700, for $500. $100,000. Help Torah Anytime. Torah Anytime. Now here is their brochure, and here is the brochure, and my picture is on here, right here on the bottom right. And on-demand Torah lectures, anywhere, anytime, any place. 12,000 shiurim, 300 plus speakers, and up to now about 1 million hours on the on video already. So it's a good way to help Torah Anytime for $100. You may win $100,000. Last week in Lech Lecha we told you the famous piece of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, who says a certain Ramban is a forgery. He said Talmud Torah Kosav Zos, an erring student wrote. It means he doesn't agree with, he doesn't believe the Ramban would ever write that. It's right in the beginning, the first Ramban. Just go down a couple paragraphs, you'll see. I'll read it to you. Right in the beginning, when the Malachim came to Avraham, and Avraham said this was all in a vision. Now no Malachim came. And the Rambam jumps at the Rambam. He brings it from Moreh Nevuchim, the Rambam. So the Ramban has the greatest respect for Rambam in most places. Here he disagrees with him. He said Rambam said it was just a Nevuah. So Ramban says, what do you mean? She didn't bake the ugos, and he didn't run to get the tongue. And when Yaakov later in the Torah was fighting with the angel, he didn't really limp on his side. And Ramban said there's only a vision, there's only a Nevuah. And he goes through the whole thing, and he says, last week, Osir, no, that was this week. I'm sorry, Vayeira Lov Hashem. I'll read you the Ramban here. He says, Osir Lishmoa, you're not allowed to listen to this. It's Lashon Hara. He didn't say Lashon Hara, but I'm telling you, Osir Lishmoa, you're not allowed to listen to this. Af Ki Lahamen, forbidden to believe it. Which means it's like what we copy curses. At the end of the Ramban, on the first Ramban there, he said, Abraham, it happened, but only in the Nevuah. It didn't really happen. And he asks a lot of questions, says the Ramban. And also the Shmoa, Av Ki Lahamen, not allowed to believe this. She'ein Hadovar Kamo Shehorav goes there. The thing is not like the Rab. The Rambam said. It's not right. The Ramban disagrees with the Rambam in Vayeira. And last week, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein said a certain Ramban was a forgery. And here the Ramban in this week's Seder, Vayeira, says a certain Rambam. He's not allowed to believe it. Awesome. All right. Let us go into some subjects now on Vayeira. You know, if you're an alert person, I said something on the radio, someone called me up and said, what does that have to do with Torah? Well, if you're an alert person, Friday before Vayeira comes, before you read Vayeira, before the Shabbos, Friday, you know the date on the secular calendar was 11/11/11/11. At 11 o'clock in the morning, on the 11th day of November, which is the 11th month in the year 2011, it was 11/11/11/11. And next year we'll have a 12/12/12/12. But you'll never have that again on 13 because it's only 12 months. So you only have it 10 times a century. 1111, 2222, 3333, all the way up to 12/12/12/12. The 12th month, the 12th year next year. This year was the 11th year. On the 11th month, the 11th day, the 11th hour. But you can go to 11th minute, 11th second. You can go 11/11/11/11/11, 6/11. But it's good to be aware of what's going on, because if you learn Torah with an open mind, you start to see things, like I'm going to show you a few things of the Vilna Gaon, you wouldn't believe it. The mind has to be wide open to chop things like this. That's why it's important to know what's going on around you. It says in the Seder of Vayeira, "Titzchak Sora b'kirbo." She laughed inside of her when the three people, which were really malachim, said, you know, next year this time you're going to have a baby. So when Avram said to her, Sora, when next year by this time you're going to have a baby. First of all, it doesn't take 12 months to have a child. It takes they were born after 6 months. But that there was Pesach, that's why Avram made ugos, round cakes, that's matzah. And he said, stay here, gentlemen, I'll get you water and bread. He never brought any water, he never brought any bread. He brought tongue and mustard. So, why is that? 2 reasons. Tzaddikim talk a little and do a lot. Rishoyim talk a lot and do very little. Another reason is when the soon as the Malachim came, she was 89 years old, and he was 99 years old. He just had a bris 3 days before. At that moment, when they showed up to these angels, and Abram thought, till the last till he sent them away, he thought they were people. Because Abram's always used to seeing angels, so he's like an angel himself, Abram. Because he has mastered his Yetzer Hara completely. In fact, Evan Ezra says that there's 10 levels of angels. Chayes HaKodesh, the highest, and Srofim and all that. And the lowest called Ishim, human beings, who raise themselves up to a highest level. So he was used to seeing Malachim, and he thought they were Anoshim. But when they came to Lod, they were Malachim, because Lod is a scoundrel. He noticed Malachim could used to see them in Avram's house. So, but Titzchak Sora B'Kibbutz, she laughed inside of her. When you offer bread and water, you give a tongue and mustard, and the guests say, thank you so much, lady, you don't have a child, next year you should have a child. Don't you have that every day at the door? When the Orchim come, the collectors of money come, they give you these long brachas for your $5 or your $1 or your $18. You should have long life and chus and health and briut and health and panasa. You get it every day. Why should she believe that? She didn't have a baby till 79 years old. Why should she, till 89 years old? Why should she believe it? She laughed. She said, yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Have good lives. You know what I mean? It's like, why should she believe it? You know why? Because as soon as they came, she became a nida. And that's why there was no bread. Because Avram and Sarah used to eat their food, but chulin b'tahara, as if everything was kedusha. Therefore, she noticed she was a nida at almost 90. Maybe they are telling the truth. Therefore, she shouldn't have laughed. Hashem came to Avram and says, why is your wife laughing? Lashon hara. So Chazal say he came to Sarah and Avram at the same time. 6 months later on Rosh Hashanah. And Hashem said, no, she's going to have a child. And now she believed it. Because after Pesach, they came on Pesach. And they scratched a mark in the wall, and they said to Avram, next year when the sun reaches this point at a certain time, that'll be 365 days, she'll have a child. Obviously it doesn't take that much to have a child, but 6 months later on Rosh Hashanah, that's why we read on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem pokadis Sarah, God remembered Sarah. She became pregnant on the day after Rosh Hashanah. And 6 months later the child was born on Seder night, Yitzchak, the firstborn Jew called Yitzchak. The firstborn Jew, Yitzchak. They all laughed, the whole world, even Yishmael made fun of the old father and the old mother. Look, they found a fondling, and they said it's their child, making fun. That's why it's called Yitzchak, joke. And they've been laughing at us ever since. But we will have the last laugh. That's why the Jewish people are called Yitzchak. God made fun of me. But finally, when she became in need, she couldn't bring out the bread because they ate their food betara. So Abraham had 3 tongues, and Avram was a big matzah on the 3rd day. He was running by Yoretz Avram on the 3rd day when the biggest pain. That's why he's supposed to be Mavaker Chagol on the 3rd day. It's the biggest mitzvah. Just like Biker Nichum Avelim on the 3rd day when the greatest pain. And you're not supposed to talk to an Avel until he talks to you. Because you don't know what he wants you to talk about. Maybe you make him feel bad about what you talk about. You're not allowed to talk to a Chole until he talks to you. Because you're coming to visit him. In fact, if you don't say anything, it's good enough. Just be there. That's why he says, Vayeira Shem al Avram, and he repeats, Vayeira Shem Elov to him. And he didn't say nothing. He never said in the Torah what Hashem said. Showing up and showing you care when you go to an Ovel or a Chole is enough. And he said to Hashem, could you wait a minute? These three men just came. From here you learn, says Rashi, that Hachnosas Orachim is greater than Kabbalas Pnei Ashchina. The treating God, talking to God, that you can do any time. He's not going to die of hunger. These 3 people, you thought they were human beings, that they're going to die of hunger or thirst. In Yahadus, the Ikr emphasis is on Bein Odom Lechaveiro, not Bein Odom Lamokum. Because it says in Pirkei Avos, if Brios like you, then Hashem likes you. For sure. If everybody likes you, then Hashem will like you. People don't like you, that's Vade, Hashem doesn't like you. The Iker test is not how you treat Hashem, it's how you treat other people. That's why Yom Kippur is only for Aveiros, Ben Odom Lechaveiro. Yom Kippur is only for the worst sin, to you and your friend. You don't keep Shabbat, you eat Chazer. That's less than mistreating people. You know why? Because every human being was made with B'Tselem Elokim. By honoring the person, you honor Hashem. You honor Hashem. 2 things. Mechabed people and Mechabed Hashem, who gave that human being a neshama. So, how could she disagree with Hashem and say, Lashon Hara? So, answer is, it's not Lashon Hara if you come to the person himself. Avram and Sarah were one person. I mean, they were together as one per person. They agreed on all shittas. Their mind had a unified goal. The purpose of their life was one goal: to spread the word of Hashem, to spread monotheism in a world of paganism. So he's no Lashon Hara. So that was on Rosh Hashanah. Hashem came to Avram. He says she will have a child. And sure enough, 6 months later, on Seder night, she had a child. And they went out of Mitzrayim exactly that night, 400 years to the moment. Midnight, 15th of Nisan. So, she said, "No, I didn't laugh." Hashem said, "Yes, you did." How could she, the mother of Klal Yisrael, lie to Hashem directly? My father brings down in his Sefer Mayin Beis HaShe'eva, she had a doubt, a titzchak sort of a kirbo, deep in her subconscious. She didn't know that she had a doubt. So Hashem told her, you have a doubt, I want you to inform me that. And she didn't know that. Says the Ramban, Hashem never spoke to any woman except Sarah. Wait a minute, Chavo? Hashem came to Chavo, why did you eat that thing? And to Hagar, well, you say through Melachim, and Chana and Abigail and Esther and Rivka. It was all through agents. Only to Sarah did he speak directly. So the Gra says, why is it only to Sarah? Because a woman and a keva is a makabel and a man is a mashpia. It's like the sun burns down on you. You're the receiver and the sun is the mashpia and you're the makabel. If you have too much sun, you'll burn up. You get cancer of the skin, you'll burn your eyes if you look at it. If Hashem speaks to certain people, you drop dead if it's too much for you, like the Bnei Yisrael and Matan Torah, the first 2, they dropped dead. Moshe had to revive them with the Shem Hashem. Some some people are not capable to absorb so much. And the Keva woman is a total makabel. This would have destroyed her. Not sorry, you know why? She had a different personality. She had the ability to oppose, to not only be a makabel, to be a mashpia. She said to Hashem, no, I didn't lie. I didn't laugh. She has enough self-confidence to go against Hashem. That kind of a person who's a little bit male, because the man has more of this offensive nature, she's not totally a nekeva. So the Ramban says she has this nature to be also opposed and have a not only defensive but an offensive personality. She has that power, therefore it wouldn't destroy her, the Nevuah. But a man has a totally different nature. He can be stubborn, and therefore the influx will not destroy him. Too much input in a keli that can't handle it, it destroys him. So, but it's an interesting Ramban. All right, let's go on another subject on Vayeira. Abraham was arguing with Hashem. I'm going to destroy Sodom. So who's Abraham to destroy? Who's you to argue with Hashem? You can't do that. Shofi kol haaretz liyasa mishpat. The judge of all earth won't do mishpat. You killed tzaddik with the Russia together. You don't care. You don't care about that. How is that? Who's he to argue with him, with Hashem? Ooh, why is that? I'm going to destroy Sodom, and he argues with Hashem. Wow. So my father brings down in the Sefer, he said, if there's 50 tzaddikim, yeah, I'll save the place. If one is missing in each of the 5 places, if there's not a minion in each of the 5 places, 50, there's only 9, 45 people, then Hashem will be the extra one to save the place. If there are 45, I'll do it. 40. If there's 40, I'm not going to save the place. I won't destroy them, but I'll punish them in another way. If there's 30, I'll punish them in another way. Avram is arguing with Hashem. Are you going to kill Tzaddik with Russia? You're so indiscriminate. So my father brings down in the Sefer, he said, Vayeira Hashem. Hashem came down to see the chet of Sodom. Whenever it says Vayeira, it gives the people a power to debate with him. Vayeira, he came down into conscience of human beings to debate the Dvar Hashem. So Avram had that pan a few times. Whenever it says Vayeira Hashem, he came down into the human conscience. He gives you permission to debate with him. A proof is Matan Torah. You have a right to debate with your Rabbi and say, I hold differently, until he proves you're right, or maybe you're right, maybe he's wrong. You have Vayeira Hashem al Har Sinai. You have a right to argue and debate the subject. Because it says, Vayeira Hashem al Har Sinai. Human beings from all till this very day, you debate with your chavrusim, with your Rebbe. I don't understand this. I don't agree with you. The power of interpersonal debating and disagreement that was given to human beings sometimes, not always. Talmud Torah, you need that. Otherwise, there's no Talmud Torah. You just don't accept blind faith. We don't do that. Blind faith, that's for them. The Umas Olam. We challenge every single word. Look at any page in the Gemara. Every single line is a machlokas about something. Because I don't see it the way you see it. You have to explain that to me. You have a right to debate. Vayeira Hashem about Sodom, and Avram debated with him. And there's a few other cases like this. And that's my father's Kiddush. That's all. Whenever it says Vayeira Hashem, you have a right to debate with Hashem. That's why Avram debated. And when it was all over, Avram walked away and he said, no, they're doomed. And they're finished. Then it says Avram, then there was the incident of Avimelech with Sarah. He took Sarah, and Hashem came to Avimelech at night to a guy. You're a dead man. Right away. Most tummus, if you don't give her back right away. So he's very disturbed. He went in the morning, called all his advisors. He says, this would happen. He says, God's going to kill me and my wife and the whole palace, all the people in my staff. They were tremendously afraid. And he said to Avraham Avinu, he put on a phony face. He says, why do you do this? Why did you lie to me? We don't do these things in this community. why didn't you tell me the truth? God just told you the night before you're going to die. So he wants to put on his face to Avram, and Avram didn't answer him, because he knew that Abimelech knew that he was lying. Because God said, I'm going to kill you if you don't go and give it back. So then Avram said nothing. He said to Avram again, what did you see to bring this evil upon me? Avram said, because there's no Yir Shemaim here. From here we learned that a guy has to have Yir Shemaim. There's no Yir Shemaim over here. And I was afraid you were going to kill me. So I told my wife to tell you she's my sister. In truth, she really is my sister. Avram married his niece. But Terach was his grandfather. And grandfathers are like fathers. B'nai bonim kabonim, children like bonim. And grandfathers are like fathers. Because al pi halacha, the grandfather has to pay for the chinuch of his grandson if the father doesn't want to do it. And the boy has to honor his father. And grandfather the same. So therefore, Avram's niece is Terach's. He's the grandfather of Sarah, of Sarah. Sarah is Terach's daughter, and Avram is Terach's son. They're the sisters. He happened to marry his niece, so it's not a total lie. And besides, if your life in danger, you can do any aver in the Torah except 3. Then comes the Akedah. Oh, before this, you have to know this is a word from the Gra that is an unbelievable. It says, this is Chav Aleph, Lam Beis, Abimelech and Avram made a bris, and then, because he bowed the well, because it's the second incident, Abimelech came to Abimelech came to Avram and said, I know you guys are going to take over this country one day. I see everything that you do, God, is your matzliach. You threw your Nekiv Shanaish, it didn't burn. You went against 4 kings, and you defeated them, even though they defeated all the giants. And your wife was taken by me once, and God came to me and threatened my life. And earlier she was taken by Pharaoh, or last week's Parsha, and Hashem came to Pharaoh and said, I'll kill you if you don't let her go. Now, I see you're a very matzliach man. She says to him like this. That was the head of the army. Fichol, he represented all the people. Pikol, the mouth of everybody. Pikol Sartzvo, Elavrom Lemur. He said 6 words to him. Elohim imach. God is with you. Whatever you do, you're very masliach. Whatever you do, God saves you. There were 6 times that Abimelech could realize that Hashem saved him. The 6 times was where was that? The Kivshan Aish was 1. There were 6 words here. 6 words here. He said, God saves you all the time. We know you're going to take over this country. So I tell you what, please. After he shovely swear to me, Ulenini, my children, Ulenechdi, my grandchildren, for the kindness I did to you, liar, what he is. He wanted to kidnap his wife. But he considered the fact that he didn't touch her because God interfered in the middle of the night, gave him a certain sickness that he couldn't do anything. And he thought that was his greatness. So I treated you very nicely. Do me a favor. Make a promise, because I know you people eventually going to take over this country. Because I see whatever, the miracles that in your life, what happened to you. I mean, Kivshan Aish, he didn't die, and then they went down to Mitzrayim, and Pharaoh loaded you up with servants and money and camel and goats and sheep and bulls and cows. Whatever you do, you're matzliach. I see you're a man of God. Make a promise with me that you're not going to harm my progeny. Lenini or lenechti kachesed asher sisi imo, like I was nice to you. Tasi what they do with me. You know, all languages come from Hebrew. I have 200 words in English, phonate words that sound exactly like Hebrew and English words. There's 200 words that come directly from Hebrew. I'll show you a Spanish word right here that comes from the Torah. How do you say in Spanish child? Niño, right? Oh, very good. Here it is. Tishkar li ulenini, my child. Why did you say b'ni? This is a remez that all languages come from the Torah. Even Russian people who are listening know certain Russian words come from Hebrew. This is an interesting word, nini, like niño, child, in Spanish. So they made this covenant together, and then Avram planted an Eshel. Vayita Eshel b'be'er shova. He planted an Eshel, a tree, And people came and they ate from the fruits of the tree and they drank, and the water was going underneath the tree, a stream, and the shade, and Avram talked Torah. Some say an Eshel is a hotel, a pundik. Some say it's a paradise, a lot of trees, different fruit trees. And the Vilna Gaon says an unbelievable thing. He planted Eshel, a tree. He says in Onkelos, Ilana tree, but he says a tremendous thing. Eshel is Russian Tavis. Not Russian Tavis, no, Trik in shorthand. Achila shtia lina. Eating, and drinking, and sleeping over. Avraham used to feed the people, give them to drink, and let them stay over. The Vilna Gaon comes and says, in a certain sefer called Hagro ala Parshios, he says there, mind-blowing idea. Avram started to preach Devar Hashem, means give seminars and shiurim and lectures to people about monotheism. This new religion that is the creator and the God is invisible. And all the forces of nature that are invisible, he controls that. So, the Vilna Gaon says, Achila Shtia Lina is the Mechaper, Mesakein, 3 Chatoim. One is Avraham Avinu. Adam Arishon. Adam Arishon. Achila. He ate from the Eitz Hadas. Mesakin then. Shtia. Noach. The Mesakin the head of Noah, he got drunk, and his 2 daughters lived with him and had these children. Shtia. Lina or Levaya to Melava to accompany guests out and be kind to the guests. Mesakin the head of Sodom. They were no Melava nobody, didn't want any guests. Achila Shtia Lina. Adam, Mesakin the head of Adam. Take that of Gan Eden, we suffer from that till this day. Shtia, Noach got drunk and daughters lived with him. And Leviah, Chet of Sodom. Then he says another thing, which is an unbelievable concept in this week's parsha. He says after the next thing is the Akedah. So he says after the Akedah, the Malach says when he grabs the knife, Avraham, Malach says, Avraham, stop! Now I know that you're Elokim. Now I know you're Elokim Ato. You're a God-fearing man. Question, the Ramban says, the man's 137 years old. He had gone through 9 other nisyonos. You didn't know till now? Yomer Avrom, Yiko Elov Malach Hashem, Min HaShomayim, Yomer Avrom. Yom Hineni, yes, I'm at your service. Hine Ani, I'm at your service. Yom Atishlach Yodecha, nah, don't touch that boy. The boy is 37. Al Tasso Mu'uma, not even a tiny cut to take a drop of blood out. No. Ki Atu Yidati, now I know. Ayin Tov Hey. How I know? Ki Yori Lekim Ato. You're a God-fearing man. Veloch of Sachtus Binchu, you didn't even hold back your brother, your son. Yechidichol, the only one you have with Sarah. Be many for me. Now wait a minute. 9 nisyonos came before you. Didn't. The man's 137 years old. When he was 30 or 40, he was thrown in the Kivshan Aish and he came out alive. That's not a sign he's a Yordakim. And he fight and he saved Lot from the 4 kings. He defeated the 4 kings and one man, and with Eliezer, he had 318 people with him. Eliezer is 318 gematria, and maybe he had 318 people. Abe, Eliezer, and him were the 2 strategists. They attacked the kings at night, and these 4 kings had killed all the giants. Only Og survived, and Avram, defeated 4 kings. That's not a Yordakim. God wouldn't do that. Would do that to a man saying not Yordakim. All these other nisyonos, all the other things that happened to him. Hashem come to Abimelech, don't touch that woman. Comes to a Pharaoh, don't touch that woman. Now you know he's a Yorei Elokim. How come, says the Rambam, now only? Gross says an unbelievable thing. Maybe Avraham was a frum and nice man because his nature was like that. He was a kind-hearted man. He was a compassionate man. Maybe he was born with that nature. Maybe he's a very religious type. He's gives himself over to an idea. Maybe he's what you call a shtickle religious fanatic. He's even ready to kill his child. So the Gross says, a man who's the Amud HaChesed, by nature, if that would be his nature, that he's an Amud HaChesed, it's impossible to do such a dastardly thing, to execute your own child. Impossible if that's your nature. The fact that Avram did what Hashem told him and went against his own nature to do the most achzorious thing in the history of mankind, to kill your own one child. And Hashem said, the whole Klal Yisrael is coming from him at 137, you're not going to have any more children. The Ramban says to show that you have two natures, and the first one is not the way you're born. You learn Torah, and you learn to be kind to people, to honor Hashem, the Shekhinah on every person, the Neshama. That's not just you're born that way. You Hashem alamed, you have to learn that. You also accepted God's Gezerah, the other extreme of extreme achzorius. Because if you're born that nature, a kind man couldn't do this. And achzorius could only do that and not be kind to people. You have both extremes. That shows you your Yorekim. That you do what God tells you, not because you're born that way. And He proves it. There's two mitzvahs in the Torah where you get arichas yomim. Two extremes. One is kibbut avayim, one is shaluach hakan. Kibbut avayim, honor your father and mother, of course. Kindness, chesed. The other is the most cruelest thing in the world. You take a bird's babies and you shoot them other way. She shouldn't see it. She comes back again and again. Shaleich to shalach again and again. Send her away. Send her away. Don't let her be around. You're taking her babies. It's the biggest achzorius. And these two mitzvahs are the only two you get a Richos Yom for, because you're doing it because God said so. And if a person says, you see how much kindness God's had, he doesn't want to see doesn't want the mother bird to see what you're doing to the child, you have to shut the man up. You're not allowed to say that. That's not the reason why Hashem did that, because of kindness. Because you see, it's achzorius. So if you have that nature, if you have two mitzvahs, Shaluach HaKan, the biggest achzorius, to torture a mother bird. Hashem wants it because that's a gezerah. And then you have another thing, to take care of your parents, even if they're horrible and they despise you your whole life. Let's say you have to do it anyhow. They were mean to you. You have to honor them, mechaber them. But let's say a normal person who they were always nice and kind to you. You're doing the biggest act of chesed. Now you get a Richos Yom for it. And then you do Shluch HaKan, you also get a Richos Yom for it. Says the Ramban. That shows you that he's a real Yorim. He's doing it because Hashem was gozer, not because his nature prompted him. It says, right at the beginning of the Akedah, this will end with this. And what was the 10 nisyonos? There's a list over here. Lech lecha, leave your family at 75. In those years, if you were a vagrant, they killed you. At 75, you don't have a family at state. If people, you wander at 75. That's a big nisoyan at a 75-year-old man. Go to another country, I'll show you. And for the next 100 years, you were promoting Hashem in the world. Because Lech lecha is Gematria 100. And he died at 175. And here he was 75. That's not a nisoyan to leave your family at 75. Rav, there was a hunger in the land. Even though God promised you this land, you had such a big hunger, you had to go to Mitzrayim. Number 3, Pharaoh took Sarah, his wife. That's not in the Zion. Didn't complain to Hashem, not one word. But the Rav, the hungry, didn't complain to Hashem. Lech lecha, didn't complain to Hashem. Then the fighting of the 4 kings. After saying, save my nephew, a scoundrel who happened to be the mayor of Sodom, the worst place in the world. But as your nephew, you have to do it. Put your life in danger for that. That's in the Zion. And he had to take Hagar, even though he's not married to her. That's in the Soyan. And then Bris Milah at 99. That's in the Soyan. And Abimelech took Sarah. That's in the Soyan. He didn't pray to God, please save her, because he knew she was greater than him. She could take care of herself. So he didn't touch her, because Sarah said to the Malach, "Hach, beat him." So Abimelech, his whole body stopped up. He couldn't. None of his organs released fluids, couldn't blow his nose, couldn't go to the bathroom. None of the animals in his kingdom laid eggs or gave milk. Nobody could go to the bathroom. Earlier in the Seder, when Pharaoh took her, he started to bleed from all his organs. He had the runs. All the animals dropped, aborted their children. And the milk flowed out on the ground, and the eggs fell out on the ground, and of the chickens. And Pharaoh couldn't control his organs. But Abimelech was just the opposite. One of them had the runs, the other one was stopped up, because Pharaoh was a low life and took Sarah immediately when he crossed the borders. He had no self-control. So Hashem shows you what means no self-control. And Abimelech let him live there 3 months before he did some voyeuring and looking into the and therefore he got stopped up because he controlled himself a little bit. Anyhow, he takes Sarah Abimelech and go throw your wife and that boy out of the house. That's not in the Zion. And Akedah, the 9th, the 10th of the Nisyonis. So it says here, this is the beginning of the Akedah, and we read the Akedah on Rosh Hashanah, because that's when Hashem came to Avram on Rosh Hashanah. It says, when 6 months from now, the next Moed, you're going to have a child. Yachar Dvar Ve'elah, but him he saw Avram, and God tested Avram, and he started take your child, the only one, and bring him up on him as the carbon on his beach. It says, V'hi Achar. Right after these things, Hashem, the Akedah started. We have a rule in the Torah, wherever it says Acharei, it's 4 years later, Achar is immediately. How could it be immediately? Yitzchak was 37 years old. He was born 37 years ago. And it tells you that the Satan said to Abraham, to Hashem, Abraham made a meal when the boy was 24 months old. He was 2 years old. They sued the Hagomel when she weaned the child off of mother's milk onto food. She made a party because she's very happy. The mother's free now to go about her pursuits. Doesn't have to be home all day and work nursing the child. That's why you bench Gomel. You're thankful when something good happens. When he Kumayal is Yitzchak. So the Satan said to Hashem, look, he made this whole meal. And he didn't give you one little bird or a carbon. He made this big party, invited all the big notables. The notables, the politicians, and a big party for Sarah, for the son weaning Yitzchak, and he didn't give you one single carbon. He didn't give Hashem one thankfulness. So Hashem said, no, the meal was strictly for me, in the name of Yitzchak, but he really meant me completely. I'll prove it to you. If I asked him to give me his son, he'll do it. So the son, Hashem told the son, so he bought this. Something about this. The boy was 2 years old. 35 years later, Hashem proved the Satan was wrong. That's why he says, Achar, immediately after the complaint, 35 years ago, when he says to Hashem, hey, he made this big party, we didn't bring you a single carbon. He says, you'll see. Achar always means immediately after. You'll see they'll do it. And of course, the Satan trusted Hashem, and 35 years later it happened. Then he brought his son up as a carbon. And Yishmael said, Schwab was 14 when Yitzchak was born, because Abraham had him at 86. And 86 to 100 is 14. So when the boy was 2 years old, Shmuel was 16. And when he was 16, the boy was 2 years old, and Yitzchak was very, very bright. He says, I'm the Bechor, I get the inheritance. He says, no, you don't. Only my father's wife. You're my father's concubine. And beside you says, I'm bigger than you because I had a bris at 13. You had it in 8 days. You had nothing to say. I could refuse. Therefore, I'm greater than you because I submitted to the bris at 13 years old. Yitzchak says, no. You just gave one aver. If God told me to give my whole body, I'll do it too. That's why 35 years later, he didn't complain when Avram told him, we're going to go to the Akedah. He says, where's the animal? Here's the machelis, the knife, the fire, the wood here. Where's the animal? Avram said, Hashem yir lo hasebni. And Hashem will show me the sheep, my son. Put it together. He's going to be the one. So he didn't complain, and Hashem never came to Yitzchak and said, I want you to be a carbon. How come he submitted to that? From this you learn the success of Avram's chinuch methods. If you can pass over to your child with no generation gap the same agenda you are holding and he buys it, you're successful as an educator. If you can pass to the next generation your value system, because you're a true person, you practice what you preach. You don't learn the Torah and then preach something else. And the child sees you're consistent, you don't bluff, and you don't do stuff that against the Torah. The child sees, first of all, you're sincere. Number two, what you're telling me is intelligent. So therefore, we learn Mesorah from Yitzchak, not Avram. Mesorah Sa'avos, to trust your parents. We learn from Yitzchak, not Avram. Because the carbon was Yitzchak, Hashem never hated him. If you can pass over the chinuch, the Mesorah, to your children without any gap, you are a successful parent. Torah, Umasora. Can you pass it over to the next? Or they say, Dad, that's old-fashioned. We don't believe in that stuff anymore. You can pass it over, and of course Avram did, to Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yud Beit Shvatim, down to us. We have the Torah the way it was given at Sinai, not new versions, modern versions, or distorted versions like the Reform religion and the conservative religion. No, we have the original Torah of Sinai without any additions or subtractions. That's why it works. It works very well. In fact, it works for 4,000 years because Abraham was born in 1948. Now it's 5772. It's almost 4,000 years. So achar means immediately after, even though it took 35 years. Rabbi said we're finished. Have a good week. And we hope next week, Chayesor we do earlier in the week, like Sunday. And have a good week. Stark, strong, and keep it up. And if you want an extra panasa, call that number, 845-826-4789, and I'll tell you all about enhancing your panasa. Sei gesund.